For the first time in years, Lil Baby finally let the world hear the weight he's been carrying. And the way he spoke made it clear this wasn't just another headline or another rumor about the streets. It came from something deeper. He opened up about the people he grew up with, friends who had laughed with him, struggled with him, survived the same blocks he did, now sitting behind bars, forgotten by the world. To him, they weren't criminals. They were kids who made one wrong turn, one bad decision that changed the entire path of their lives. That pain in his voice wasn't for show. It was a reminder that he could have easily been one of them. And that sense of guilt, that sense of gratitude mixed with heartbreak, became the emotional doorway to everything that followed. Because that same compassion, that same loyalty, is what made his connection to Chad Dillon so powerful, and why the silence after Chad's death felt so heavy. The moment Baby finally spoke, people realized he wasn't just grieving. He was hinting at something deeper, something darker, something connected to the very crew he once built and called family. And that was the moment everyone understood. The story wasn't just about loss, it was about hidden tension, old ties, and the kind of truth that could shake a whole city. But to understand that, you have to go back to where this entire story began, not with violence, but with business.
Chad Dillon wasn't the type of guy who grew up depending on the streets. His story didn't start with block corners or survival strategies. It started with pure ambition and hustle. Born in Brooklyn, he was the kind of businessman who made opportunities appear out of thin air. In college, he flipped a single Bentley and turned it into a full-blown rental hustle, stacking enough money to expand his fleet to 7 luxury cars before most students even figured out their major. But Atlanta is where his grind transformed into something legendary. When he touched down in ATL, he built the Boiler Seafood, a restaurant that didn't just take off, it exploded. $8 million in sales in its first year, celebrities lining up at the door, rappers, ball players, entrepreneurs, everyone wanted a taste of what he created. Yet what made Chad different wasn't the money, it was the heart behind it. He didn't gatekeep his success. He walked into prisons to teach ex-cons how to build real businesses. He dropped his own money to help them start over. He spent weeks giving lessons on confidence, structure, and entrepreneurship because he believed that one mistake shouldn't destroy an entire future. His mission wasn't just making profits, it was redemption. And that's why his sudden connection to Lil Baby felt so natural. They came from different worlds, but they shared one mission: help the same people society had written off. That connection would eventually become the foundation of something powerful, and tragically, something dangerous. Because the cleaner Chad kept his life, the more shocking it became when he got pulled into a world that never belonged to him. When Lil Baby decided he wanted something real outside the rap industry, something that wasn't tied to the constant chaos of fame or the shadows of the streets, Chad became the blueprint. Their chemistry was instant. Baby had the star power, Chad had the business genius. Together, they created the seafood menu, a restaurant built not for celebrities or influencers, but for the people Baby grew up with, the same neighborhoods that watched him rise from nothing. They priced the place low so anyone could walk in and feel welcomed. The grand opening wasn't just a celebration, it felt like a victory lap for Baby's whole community. People filled the streets, smiling, recording, shouting his name. For a moment, it felt like Atlanta was witnessing a transformation, a rapper turning into a businessman, and a businessman turning into the bridge between two worlds. And at the center of that moment stood Chad, the man who helped bring Baby's vision to life. But what nobody knew then was that success would be tested faster than expected. The pressure of their partnership, the weight of expectations, and the unpredictable nature of the internet would soon crack the foundation they built. They didn't know it yet, but the same dream they created together was about to become the first domino in a chain reaction that would lead to suspicion, whispers, and eventually tragedy.
Everything changed the moment that viral video hit the internet. One woman, one plate of food, one sarcastic review. That's all it took. She clowned the food so hard that people didn't even question it. The clip spread like wildfire, painting the entire restaurant as a joke.
And in the world of social media, perception is reality. Within weeks, customers stopped showing up. Sales tanked. The restaurant's energy went from buzzing crowds to empty chairs and quiet kitchens. Eventually, the doors shut for good. The website listing it as permanently closed. And even though Baby and Chad never publicly argued, the city felt the shift. People said the flop created a crack between them, something unspoken but heavy. Chad had built a winning streak for years, so taking a loss under Baby's name added pressure neither of them expected. And Baby, already fighting battles behind the scenes, didn't have the space to deal with another hit. The partnership that once felt unstoppable began to feel strained. But nobody realized just how deep the tension went until the day everything collapsed. Because soon after the business failure, the story turned from embarrassment to tragedy, leaving Atlanta asking questions nobody could answer.
People everywhere, and still nobody saw anything. Chad was found slumped inside his Rolls-Royce, bleeding out, and the moment police arrived, they knew this wasn't random. No robbery, no struggle, not a stray bullet in sight. It looked clean, intentional, and planned. Worse, Chad didn't even belong in that neighborhood. He was only there to look at a property for his new Jamaican restaurant, dipped in butter. That meant someone knew exactly where he'd be, exactly when he'd arrive, and exactly how long he'd stay. That kind of timing doesn't come from chance. It comes from information. And information only leaks from people close enough to know his moves. When Baby posted that short tribute, "Damn, big buddy, get your rest," fans felt the heartbreak, but the streets weren't convinced. Silence always speaks the loudest, and this silence screamed betrayal, strategy, and secrets. People didn't see Chad as the type to get caught up in danger. He wasn't a street guy. He didn't beef with anyone. So when someone executed him like a target, the whispers began. What did he get mixed up in? And who wanted him gone?
As people searched for answers, attention shifted back to Lil Baby, not the rapper on stage, but the kid who came from the streets long before fame. Baby didn't have the luxury of a quiet childhood. His dad dipped when he was 2, and the streets became the only teacher he had left. By 9th grade, he was done with school. Charges piled up before he turned 20. Possession, intent to sell, the kind of stuff that never leaves your record, even when you reinvent yourself. And in 2024, even with platinum albums and awards, he still caught a concealed weapon charge in Vegas. It was a reminder that no matter how far he ran, pieces of his past stayed chained to him. And that past had a name: 4PF. 4 Pockets Full wasn't just a label to Atlanta. To the police, it was a street organization with too many connections to shootings, retaliation cases, and unresolved beefs. With the feds